Moses counted 2,630 Gershonites between 30 and 50 years old, and 3,200 Mirites between 30 and 50 years old. Moses, Aaron, and the leaders of Israel enumerated the Levites that were between 30 and 50 years old by their clans and families to be 8,580 men. Numbers 4:38 through 49. Amid the 1118 BC invasion of Judah by the Philistines, an unusual event occurred at Zorah, modern day Sarah Yisrael. Mona, a Dananite, was married to a barren woman. One day a messenger said to her, "Listen, it is true that you are barren and you haven't had a child, but you will conceive and give birth to a son. Now therefore be careful not to drink any wine or other intoxicating liquor, and do not eat anything unclean. For indeed you will conceive and give birth to a son. No razor is to touch his head, because the child will be a Nazarite to Adonai from the womb. Moreover, he will begin to rescue Israel from the power of the Philistines." The woman came and told her husband, "A man of Adonai came to me. The appearance of his face was fearsome, like that of the angel of Adonai. I did not ask him where he came from, and he did not tell me his name. However, he said to me, 'Listen, you will conceive and give birth to a son. Now therefore do not drink any wine or other intoxicating liquor, and do not eat anything unclean, because the child will be a Nazarite to Adonai from the womb until the day he died.'" Then Manoah prayed, "Please, Adonai, let the man of God you sent come again to us and teach us how to raise the child who will be born." A few days later, while sitting in the field, the messenger or angel returned to the woman, who was not accompanied by her husband Manoah. The woman hurried and ran to tell her husband, "Here, that man, the one who came to me the other day, he's come again." Manoah followed his wife and went to the man and said to him, "Are you the man who spoke to my wife?" He answered, "I am." Manoah asked, "Now, when what you said comes true, what are the guidelines for raising the child? What should be done for him?" The messenger said to Manoah, "Your wife is to do everything I told her. She should not eat anything that comes from a grapevine. She should not drink wine or any intoxicating liquor, and she should not eat anything unclean. She should do everything I ordered her to do." Manoah said to the angel, "Please stay with us a bit longer so that we can cook a young goat for you." The angel replied, "Even if I stay, I will not eat your food. If you prepare a burnt offering, you must offer it to Adonai." Manoah said to the messenger, "Tell us your name so that when your words come true, we can honor you." "Why are you asking about my name? It is wonderful," is the response that was heard. Manoah took the kid and the grain offering and offered them on the rock to the Eternal One. The flame went up toward the sky from the altar, emitting thick smoke. As Manoah and his wife looked on, the messenger ascended in the flame. When Manoah and his wife saw it, they fell to the ground on their faces. It was at that moment that Manoah realized that the man, the messenger, was actually an angel. The Hebrew term for angel is malach, meaning messenger. Manoah said to his wife, "We will surely die, because we have seen Adonai. This was a usual sentiment, as it was believed at that time that if you saw an angelic representative of the eternal King, it was the equivalent to seeing him himself. For instance, you can look at Exodus 33:20 and see that this is not just a localized sentiment. Manoah's wife, though, stated a logical statement that relaxed her husband. If Adonai had wanted to kill us, he would not have accepted a burnt offering and a grain offering from us, nor would he have shown us all these things or spoken to us this way. The woman gave birth to a son and named him Samson. As the child grew, he was divinely blessed. While Samson was a child or teenager at Dan, meaning Camp of Dan, the Spirit of the Eternal King began to stir him. Dan was the place where the 600 Danaanites camped near the city, where one day the ark would rest after having left Philistina, after it was captured by the Philistines. Judges 13:2-25. Bishop James of Jerusalem, who was the brother of Christ, and all the presbytery of Jerusalem were greeted by Paul and told in detail about the ministry and the masses of believing Gentiles. However, whereas all the metropolises that Paul had taught in were mostly Greek or mostly Gentile, the metropolis of Jerusalem was still mostly Jewish. There had been rumors that Paul had forsaken Moses due to coexisting with Gentiles in their homes and taught that it was wrong to circumcise their sons or observe the Torah. Due to such a controversial issue, though the rumors were false, the presbytery had devised a plan to resolve the controversy. Note, it is hard to minister to people when you do not interact or coexist with them. How could Paul minister to the Gentiles if he did not physically live among them? 4 Messianic Jews took a vow, likely the same vow that Paul had taken, the Nazirite vow. He was to pay for their heads being shaved and, after purification, observe the customs in Torah, without the legalistic observation that the Orthodox Jewish leaders advocated. As for the Christians, they had sent a letter similar to the Edict of the Council of Jerusalem to them. The following day, Paul and the men with him began the week-long purification process. On the day of their purification, each man was to bring a burnt offering of a male lamb in his first year without defect, a sin offering of a female lamb, a peace offering of a ram, grain offerings and drink offerings, and a basket of matzah loaves made of fine flour mixed with olive oil, and unleavened wafers spread with olive oil. After the Nazirite shaved their heads and burned their hair that they had cut off in the fire under the peace offerings, the priest would boil the ram. He then took the ram's shoulder, 1 loaf of matzah from the basket, and 1 unleavened wafer. The priest then placed them in the hands of the Nazirite and then possibly took them back as a wave offering, unless they did the wave offering together. While the shoulder was set aside for the priest to eat, the breast was waved and the thigh elevated. These were for the Nazirite to eat. This concluded the oath, and the Nazirite was free to eat and drink what he or she could not while in his or her time of consecration. During the week, Paul and Trophimus were observed to be friends, even like brothers. As they seemed to be close friends, such an interaction was not looked kindly on by certain men in the city. In their minds,
Paul may have defiled the whole temple by bringing Trophimus into the temple proper, or the court of the Gentiles. Close to the end of the week, Paul was seized by a group of Orthodox Jews. The spokesman shouted, "This is the man who is teaching everyone or everywhere against our people, our law, in this place. More than that, he has actually brought Greeks into the temple and has defiled this holy place." As they attempted to execute him and were beating him, the tribune Claudius Laius and several soldiers from Antonia fortress delivered Paul out of their hands. Laius arrested him in 2 chains and took him back to the fortress. Acts 21:17 through 32.